Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youthman. We are in the middle of a series on the channel. We're going through 13 home theaters in 4 days, and we're doing this in Illinois as well as Wisconsin. And so as you can see here, I'm not in my home theater, but we're in my friend Caleb's home theater. He's gonna give us a tour of all of his equipment, his setup, room dimensions, and everything. And then he's also got some other really cool places upstairs and even off to the side over here. Just some really creative spaces that he has for both music as well as watching, 8K content. So Caleb, why don't you tell us all about your home theater setup and the other setups that you have here in your home?
Hey everyone, welcome to my theater and my apartment in general. I'm a big audio nerd as well as a video nerd. So I have a lot of really cool stuff that I showed Youthman and that I'd love to show you all. So let's check it out. So the first location we're checking out is my home theater that I built in my basement. I live in an apartment, but I have, to the best of my abilities, designed this basement of my apartment to be a home theater. And as a big nerd into this kind of stuff, I went all out, and I'm trying to make the best home theater that I could possibly make. So for my left and right channels, I have Revel Salon2s. These speakers are pretty old in terms of like when they came out, but there was a lot of science and research that went into designing them, and even to this day they are considered among the best measuring speakers, the best engineered speakers that you can still get. So they sound amazing, and if you can find a pair, I highly recommend them. The center channel is from a different series in the Revel lineup. It's their Performa BE series. This is the C426Be. It uses a beryllium tweeter like the Salon 2s, but it has a different design somewhat. I prefer it over the Voice 2 from the Revel lineup in terms of its measurements, so I decided to go with this speaker instead of that. Beneath it is a Rel HT 1508 that I'm running crossed over with the center channel. All of the center channel content is being fed to this crossed over channel, so that the sub is handling frequencies between 20 Hertz and about 100 Hertz, and the C426Be is handling content above that. The idea is to run each channel full range, so that I don't have to worry about trying to integrate all of the channels in my home theater to a single low frequency channel, which can be kind of a pain. This is a 135-inch fixed frame 1.1 gain screen, and above and below this white part you can see that I have these black panels. They are basically just pieces of styrofoam covered in black velvet fabric, and these are used to mask the black bars that you would see on content formatted at 2.35:1 when it's being shown on a 16:9 screen like this. And I highly recommend making these panels for your home theater. They make a load of a difference. So you can see that they are just attached by Velcro, and you can just take them off, and when you're ready to watch 16:9 content, you're good to go. So the walls around the screen are actually covered in black velvet fabric, just like the masking bars. And you probably can't even see the material behind me because it absorbs so much light. The purpose of that is to absorb all of the reflections coming off the screen that would reflect back onto the screen and elevate the black levels in the content you're trying to watch. So by putting black velvet around everything that could potentially cause those unwanted reflections back onto the screen, you're making your contrast as high as it can be, and you are maximizing, or I guess minimizing, the black floor of your projector. So for my surrounds and rear surrounds, I'm using a speaker called the Philharmonic BMR. It's not a Revel, but it is very similar to a Revel in its acoustic profile. So it has the really wide dispersion that you get from these ribbon tweeters, and it's very flat like Revels. And as you can see here, it's sitting on top of a subwoofer. So like the center channel, I am running all my surrounds to be full range, and I'm using the subwoofer to extend the low frequency of the speaker so that my surrounds can also be run full range. So I do plan on running some Funk Audio and HoverBOSS subwoofers for my theater, but those are still on order. So at the moment I have a Power Sound Audio S42 IPAL, which is itself quite a beast and can be scary at times. Here you can see the drivers. These are 21-inch drivers. They can play really, really, really loud. I think this is 6,000 watts or something. So these are some Rockford Fosgate. I think the model number is like T3S2-19. They are these ridiculously powerful 19-inch subwoofers, and I got a great deal on them. So I made the very impulsive decision to drive out to Ohio to pick them up. That was a real adventure. They don't come with boxes or anything, so I have to build the boxes, and I have not finished doing that yet. They will be run near field behind my sofa, assuming that's not just too ridiculous. If not, I might find something else to do with them. So here's my rack. For my AVR, I'm running a Denon AVR-8500H. For my amplifier section, so all my main channels are being externally amplified. I'm not running them from the amplifiers in the AV receiver. Right here is a 2-channel Hypex, I think the model number is like HC2000, 2-channel amplifier from my Revel Salon2s. It puts out about 2,000 watts into 4 ohms. Not that I use all of that, that would probably kill the speakers, but it's just what I need for these speakers, unfortunately. These two are each 4-channel Purifi 1ET400A amplifiers. They put out about 400 watts into 4 ohms, and they are probably the best measuring amplifiers aside from I think one other amplifier. So yeah, they sound really great with the speakers that I'm running. Here is a Crown XLS 2502 that is powering the HoverBOSS, the drivers in the HoverBOSS, and beneath that is a Sinbosen FP20000Q. That is not hooked up to anything right now, but it will ultimately be used to power my HoverBOSS subwoofers and these Rockford Fosgate subwoofers. So everyone who gets to see my theater really wants to know what this thing is underneath my sofa. This is what's called a HoverBOSS. It's basically this thing that came from the DIY section of the AVS forum. And it is a sort of like a platform that decouples the sofa from the ground, and it has subwoofers built into it, and those are connected to the LFE channel of the content you're watching to give you a tactile feel for it. And because it decouples from the ground, you forget that you're sitting on a sofa that's on a concrete floor like I have, so it really enhances the immersion of the content you're watching. So you might be able to see the subwoofer drivers that I'm using under there. Those are Stereo Integrity SQL15 drivers. They do a great job for the HoverBOSS. And you can also see just how DIY this thing really is. I even have some of the barcodes on the 2x4s that were used to construct it. And yeah, gets the job done. So these are the height channels that I'm running. They are focal Dome Flax. I like them because you can swivel and tilt them towards the listening position so that you can get those high frequencies that you want in your height channels. For my projector, I'm using a JVC RS1000, also known as the NX5. Okay, so you're probably going to have a really hard time making out what's even going on here. This is actually my computer monitor. This is a Samsung Q800A 65-inch model. This is a TV that I purchased recently, and it has the best HDR I've ever seen. So with 65 inches and 8K resolution, I have a crazy amount of screen real estate, and I can do basically anything I want on this monitor or TV without having to close any windows. And as you can see, I also have speakers next to the TV. So the speakers I'm running with my computer are probably the most state-of-the-art speakers that money can buy right now. They're called the Dutch & Dutch 8C. They are designed to be acoustically perfect in basically every way. They use a really cool technology called a cardioid that allows the bass frequencies to become directional, and the effect when you listen to these speakers is a completely uncolored, just perfect window into the music that you really can't get with anything else. So we've gone upstairs, and I also have a really cool system up here. Not quite as epic as what I have going on downstairs, but that's not to say that it doesn't sound just as good. So I have a LG E9 OLED 65-inch. It has even better black levels than the NX5. And for my left and right, I'm using Genelec 8351B studio monitors. Now these are technically meant to be used in like a mastering studio or a mixing studio, but as speakers, you know, like the Revel Salon2s and the Dutch & Dutch 8C, they have state-of-the-art engineering and measurements that go into them, so they sound phenomenal. I'm also using Genelec 8331As as heights. So upstairs I also have a AURO-3D setup. It's a 4.1.4 AURO-3D or Dolby Atmos setup. And for subwoofers, using JTR RS1. Let's see if I can get this grill off. Now this wouldn't be a Youthman video if there weren't some JTR. So, of course I had to show it. I also have butt kickers connected to the sofa. You probably can't see them. And this is the thing that I really want to show off in the video. These are called Morrison audio speakers. They are omnidirectional speakers, meaning that they radiate sound in every direction, and the timbre of the sound is the same in every direction. So 360 degrees horizontally, the sound is exactly the same, and it's basically the same vertically. And I gotta say, I own Revel Salon2s, I own the Genelecs, I own the Dutch & Dutch. These are some of the coolest, best sounding speakers I've heard, even among all of those. You really gotta check them out if you have a chance. So because of the way these speakers work, the way they image is just uncanny sometimes. They radiate sound in every direction evenly, like many instruments would, like a piano or a drum, for example. Because of that, with the right material, it sounds just like you have an actual drum set in your room. And it's the coolest thing in the world, in my opinion. And you can't get that even with any of the other speakers that I have. So that's all the stuff that I currently have. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that I want to try in the future. Got a lot of cool ideas that I'd like to try out, projects that I'm working on, but I can only show you what I have right now. So I'd like to thank Youthman, of course, for making this video possible and putting in all the hard work to make my theater as presentable as possible. I'd also like to thank Tony and Nick for organizing this tour that they've been doing with Youthman. I've had nothing to do with this. All I do is build the theater, and they make everything else. So if you aren't already, please subscribe to Youthman. He has a lot of really cool videos like this. Click that like button and enjoy.